Michael, please make me co-host.
Right, you are co-host.
Thank you.
Are you going to let the people in? Huh?
Yeah, I have disabled the waiting room.
Michael, hello. Can you hear me? Michael, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Hi, hello, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you going to?
Where are you at?
I'm in Western Australia.
Okay.
In Perth, yeah. Are there any chance you're going to turn your video on or not?
Not if you're recording. Not yet.
Okay, yeah, we record all meetings. Okay, so Get Set Up does. So, okay. But remember, people have to request.
I'm gonna be right back. I forgot something. Hold, I'll be right back.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I hear.
You back, okay, without a video. And hello also to Carol, who's just arrived as well. Hello, Carol.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, welcome to class. Okay. Yeah. Carol, are you going to turn on video or not?
No.
You and Michael are the same. I'll just talk to the screen. It's fine. Not a problem. You don't have to turn on. But leave your mics on and so we can interact and talk. So, Michael, maybe starting with you, what brings you to this particular class?
It's an interesting subject for me. And I find myself at times struggling for purpose.
Mm.
And at times I get into a flow and then I work myself out
Okay.
Look at, trying to find some track to get a long-term purpose rather than short-term, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, definitely.
It was a lot easier when we were younger and had specific goals or life purposes in mind, like getting married, raising a family, getting settled on a job, working for retirement.
Right.
And now that, and I hate the term retirement. I generally use the term another segment of my life or another stage of my life. When you're absent from the corporate world or you're absent from the water cooler world is what I'm saying. And you need a reason to get up in the morning. And sometimes I lose that motivation.
Yeah, I understand that. What sort of age category are you in, Michael?
39 plus.
79. Did you say, sorry, I missed that?
My mother used to say when she was alive, she used to say she's 39 plus some months.
Come on, Michael, man. Okay. I'm well into my 70s, and I really, it's having a new purpose in life. Definitely, I speak from experience, makes a big difference. Having been through what you described, owning the house and having families and owning motor cars and getting promoted in jobs and starting businesses and done all that, been there, and now starting again. And I think it's very important. I really, really do. But anyway, thanks.
It's definitely important. It's mainstay, and but the problem is struggling with it and trying to determine it. When COVID struck, there was a definite purpose, and now that, and beyond myself, not necessarily myself. I was running a senior group for 3.5 years, and when COVID struck, I felt an obligation to the senior group to get them through COVID. And now that COVID, and that absorbed me, it was the flow, if you know what I'm saying. And now that COVID has subsided and people are breaking out, I just don't feel the need for that to be my sole purpose. I need a plan B. And I've struggled with that from, it's not a total all-encompassing thing right now. And at times I struggle for that. And even though I was still doing consulting, and I'm into my 70s as well, even though I was doing some business consulting, it's time to give that up. If you know what I mean. It's
yeah, absolutely do. So what part of the world do you live in, Michael?
I live outside of Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
USA.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So Carol, what brings you to this particular class?
Hopefully I'm going to retire here in a couple of years, and I want to change and figure out my purpose again, basically. So that's what it is.
What category of work are you currently doing, Carol?
I'm doing like a peer support specialist for a nonprofit. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want to go into when I retire.
Right. Fair enough. Okay. All right. I'd like to introduce you to Franklin, our TA support in the class today, and he's here to help in any way that he can with anything, be it technical or otherwise, or and he can take information to the company. If you want to share something on the chat with him, feel free to do that. So Franklin, it's great to have you in class today. I know you've been up for a long time, and I appreciate you being in class. So welcome. Right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start sharing the slides we're going to be using, and just chat a little way through it. Please, this is the first of 5 classes. And so this is really a great class to start. Tomorrow, same time, we move on, and then the next day until the 5 classes are completed. But the classes are also they're also standalone classes in a way, so people can join later on if they want to. But I just want you to be aware of that. It's a process that we we're working through. And I see we've had a new person come to join us. Is it Jackie? Okay. All right, so to introduce myself, as I was telling Michael earlier on, I live in Perth, Western Australia, and my background is basically business, being a business owner, being CEO, mentor of businesses, and an author, researcher, sort of really around that area. And I enjoy, as far as hobbies are concerned, gardening and growing microgreens, of which I do a class as well. But I thoroughly enjoy researching and writing. That's perhaps my bottom line. And now I've started a whole new career that fits in with me very well, and that's been a guide for Get Set Up. And, yeah, so the agenda that you see on your screen now perhaps won't mean a lot. It'll probably mean a lot more when we finish the class. But the idea is that everybody has a purpose. All right, everybody has a purpose. Everybody exists for a reason, and we are all meant to contribute to our world in a unique way in our senior years. Okay, but our subconscious mind may want us to do something else in this new world, and that something is the purpose that we're going to be looking for in this class today. You may not come up with it today, but you will have a mechanism in which to come up with it. And this purpose is going to be our senior life's mission. And I think from what Michael shared with me, I think we're on the same track here, that there is a purpose, and our purpose is why we are alive now, okay, in this world in June 2021. We really do need to find our why, and I'll talk more about that, and purpose. So let's get started with what I call step one. I've divided it into 6 steps, with a 7th going to be in the future, but this up to 6. So if you, I guess you can take notes if you like, but the slides themselves are not sufficient. And I will give you takeaways at the end with an email. And but you can also ask for a recording, because then you can sort of listen to it in your own time as you move forward. And so think about getting a recording, because then there'll be things that we've said to each other in the class that perhaps one wants to bring to the forefront at a particular time in our consciousness as we're thinking. So anyway, I firmly believe the purpose of life is a life with purpose. Okay. And that's why I run this class, because I really believe in it. And I've gone through the process myself, and I'll share some of that as well. Very important, I believe, to look to the future where you can jump out of bed and feel, I've got a purpose. Okay. All right. So the starting point, where I like to start, is with step 1, is first look at a very, very broad picture of the business world that we've all either come out of or are still in Carol's case. Okay. There are 3 categories that everything falls into as far as work is concerned on our planet. Okay. Very broad I'm talking now, and I've got a reason for talking broad, because you'll understand it with the next slide. So with all jobs or all categories of work either fall into where you manufacture a product and then sell it. like a factory craftsman or artist, or you buy a product from someone else and sell it, like a wholesaler, retailer, an affiliate, an agent of any description. And then the third category is you learn a skill and you sell a service, yeah, like a doctor, a tradesman, a lawyer, a nurse, a designer, a programmer. Okay. So now, accepting that, as we move to the next slide, we're looking at you as an individual, or you are looking at yourself as an individual. Okay. I want you to ask the questions to yourself. And, very broadly speaking, from the day we were born through to now, we enjoy an aspect more than the other of the three on the screen now. So you either enjoy working with your hands. Ask yourself, do I enjoy working with my hands? Oh, I enjoy interacting with people. Do I love just being with people, interacting? That's my love of my life. Or do I enjoy working by myself, using my head and my skills that I've learned? Maybe in front of the computer, maybe doing things, but you like to take your skills that you've learned and largely do it by yourself. You prefer. Now, I know we have all three in us, in ourselves. All right, we cover all three, but there is one that we need to come up and decide which is a little bit more dominant, so I'd like you just to think about that right now. Just share with me if you already know the answer, okay? Or if you've got to think about it. Maybe, Michael, we start with you.
For the purpose of this, I'd have to say working with people, interacting with people.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Carol?
Oh, working with my hands. I like doing arts and crafts.
Okay, I can see from your picture, your image that you've got on the screen now.
Yeah.
To see where that comes from.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right now, this is really a good starting point. So, on your piece of paper that you've brought with you, or a notepad or book, okay, under step 1, just make the statement, that you've just made now. I enjoy working with my hands, okay, or I enjoy people, okay, interacting with me. Jot that down in step 1, because this is the basis of how we're going to move forward, how you are going to move forward into the coming years. But let's get to step 2. Why do I want to work with any idea at all? What is the reason? Okay. Now, Michael, you shared some of that at the beginning when you and I were chatting. So you're already quite clear in your mind why you want to work with any idea. So, Carol, just think about this. The why is a powerful word in the English language. Why am I looking for an idea to work with? Why? What do I want to do? Okay. I mean, why do I want to do it? Okay. What is my intention? My why? Okay. And this becomes, step 2 becomes very important in the process. Now, step 1, you've decided it's people, or it's your hands, working with your hands. But why do you want an idea? Now, because you need an idea, you need, so step 2 is really what is my why? Okay. What is my reason? And, we can look, just enlarging on this just a little bit, use the word intention. because intention, if you can really come up with a clear intention, which is the why we're talking about, it becomes the foundation of that purpose that you're going to discover later in the process. Okay. So one could actually say intention is the starting point of every dream, of every why. Okay. And that'll become a little bit clearer as we move through this class. This intention or this why is without a doubt something that will energize you, okay? And it lays the foundation for purpose and growth and success, and giving you that energy to jump out of bed in the morning and get on with life, because there's such a strong intention and purpose and why backing that up. So what you've got to be careful, you must understand that this has to be an authentic intent. This is private. This is private to you, okay? This intent, this why, might be a bit way out as far as other people are concerned. But I urge you during this process, don't share anything with anybody, okay? Don't discuss it with your spouse, okay? Don't discuss it with your brothers or sisters, uncles and aunts and friends and next door neighbors. Keep it private. This process of this particular class, after this class, tomorrow's class onward, that's fine. But this class, it's something you might take maybe a few days to eventually get to where you want to get to in this class, but keep it private, okay? And don't share it, because people will only foul up, because we are trying to get much deeper into our soul purpose, our subconscious mind, than just the conscious mind and the logical mind and the things that sort of drive our day-to-day activity and have for all our career in the past decades and decades. So the intent induces a motivating, creative, sustaining energy into the future. That's why it's important. This step 2 is important. And we need to ask ourselves why, and the why is the one thing that's going to make you feel good about yourself, okay? Regardless what other people say, okay? This is going to give you a warm feeling in your gut. Okay? So, step 2, you need to think about that why and write it down on paper. Remember, it has to come from the depths of your heart, not the depths of your mind. Okay, it's a feeling. It's a feeling that you want to now write down, and you want to write the answer to why do I want to work with any idea? What is my reason? Remember to try and get that warm feeling about it. It's one way to be honest, quietly with yourself, okay? Because you don't have to, bring it out into the open and talk to other people about it. So that is step 2. Any comments? Anybody would like to make any questions before we move to step 3?
I think that's a given.
Sorry, you were very deep. Sorry, what did you say, Michael?
I think what you've said thus far is a given.
Okay, that's great. Okay. Now we take that. If you've got 2 answers, now let's move then to step 3. We now need to find our way towards this new purpose that we joined the class for and give ourselves meaning. So step 3 is a little different. I want you to create your own questions based on what we're going to talk about now on step 3. but you need to create your own. I'm going to give you a lot of questions you can ask yourself, okay? And by all means, you can use them, but part of the process is finding your own questions to ask yourself, okay? So, for example, you've got a whole string for it. What brings me joy, okay? What actually makes me happy? Okay, now you've spoken about people in step one and your hands and working with your hands. But what do I love to do? Okay, regardless, don't try and make it logical by saying, well, I could never do that because it won't bring me any money, or I can't do that because I'm not in the right place. No, just what do I love to do? What do I find myself doing for hours on end, perhaps, and not get tired? That's a good one, okay? Even go back and ask yourself questions or create questions about what were my favorite things to do as a child, okay? What makes me come alive? Ask questions. That you can never ask too many questions in this phase of the process. What things have made me feel excited in the past to get out of bed? What gives my life meaning historically and even now? What is it? I know we're looking for a purpose, but what is meaningful now? To stay alive, okay? Or maybe to reimagine your purpose, because you had a purpose up until maybe the beginning of this year, and now that has changed. And why did that give you meaning and purpose up to then? Okay, or maybe you're still working and you've got a purpose. Then what's giving your life purpose? Even before you've retired, or maybe who do I want to be? Or what do I want to be? So you're asking yourself questions in this phase. You need to write them down. You need to put the kettle on. You need to make yourself your favorite drink, and just think about it. It might take you a few days to get through that process, and don't try and necessarily, because remember, this is. We try to find a feeling rather than logic, okay? So that you can walk a path that is uniquely yours, okay? You can ask questions like, what am I good at? Okay. What comes easily to me? What would I do if money did not matter? All these types of things. How do I spend my time? And remember your step one. You prefer working with your hands, or you prefer working with people, okay? That now is going to come in very strongly in these questions. And then don't forget step two that we've just done is the why. Why do you want to do something? So you've got all these questions you're asking yourself now, but keeping in mind you've already got a foundation, okay, in step one and step two. You might have special gifts, okay? How do you express them, okay? You might have a handicap. How do you deal with it? Okay. That would be taken into consideration as well. In step three, you've really got to come up with that last question on your screen. Am I walking a path in life that is uniquely mine? That's important. You're not Googling something and then doing something because it sounds like a good idea. That's an intellectual exercise. This is not an intellectual exercise. You are unique. You've got a unique fingerprint, okay? And you need to find whatever you're going to do, that you do it your way and uniquely your way, okay? So part of the answer that you're going to write down in step three are driven by an innate love and joy. Okay? You're drawn to them for a reason. Just remember that, because your subconscious is drawing you there. They lead you to where you are meant to go. It's a process, okay? That's why you got to keep it secret, because people can just hammer you around with their opinions, okay? So spend time on step 3. You're going to get a lot of light bulb moments, you know, to mention what Oprah often used to talk about. I don't know what she does these days. You know, what will give you meaning? And there'll be lots of answers to that, okay? There won't just be one answer, but you need to write them down. So fill up a page in step 3, the what. What gives you meaning in the questions that we've now just asked, and then write down your answers. Because from these answers, you're going to be looking at eventually it'll turn into a grand purpose, okay? And I use the word grand because it has to be grand. We're in our senior years, we're into retirement, we've got another 30 odd years to live, and we want to have great fun and fulfillment. And primarily, it's going to come from moving and understanding these steps. Okay, so are there any questions about step 1, 2, or 3? Or any comments?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, great. All right, that's fine. All right. So now we're moving to the next step, step 4. Broadly, now very broadly, you must start, you know, enormously broadly, okay? What do I want to do in my new business? Now, remember, you've done step 3, which is the what's. There are lots of what's there, okay? There are lots of questions. And so now we want to try and take that collective from step 3 and look at them all and say, very broadly, it seems to be leading to this, whatever this happens to be, okay? You know, it might be writing. It might be, you know, going on archaeological digs, or, you know, it's the variety is just enormous. But whatever it is, if you look at the answers to your questions that you have created, or use mine, then you're going to look and see something forming and a feeling. Okay, so you need to find a very broad looking at those what do I want to do in my new venture, you know, in my new purpose, or it might be a new business. Okay, so we're not looking at specifics. Try and avoid specifics at this stage. We come into some steps with specifics, but we're looking for something that's just a category of work. You know, as I said, it doesn't matter. You know, maybe you do want to continue being a consultant because you used to be. That's fine, okay. But then, you know, the what will be what you're going to be. Okay, the type of consultant and so on, and also how you're going to work. Are you going to write? Are you going to train? Are you going to teach? Are you going to be a mentor? So very broad categories. I'll give you some examples in a minute. And so look at these broad categories. But the most important aspect, it has to come from your heart. Okay, not your head. It must be a feeling. Okay, so when you think of a category, let's say you think of you know, a craft or crafting, and that's maybe what, then you must just feel the warmth between your neck and your belly button. That part of your body must feel warm. You must get a good feeling in your gut, as they say. And that becomes a really important aspect of this process, is that feeling. When you're now looking at this large category that you could fall into, very long, and as I said, it might just be arts and crafts, that's fine, okay, and it might just be consulting, that's fine. You're not saying, what you're going to consult and what arts and crafts you're going to do at this stage. You're just looking for that broad category with a warm feeling. That's what we're looking for here in step 4. So in step 3, you listed all the whats, okay? And you might even in step 4 land up with possibly unsure about this category or that category. Be great if you could put it into one category at this stage, but maybe not. Maybe if you look at all your answers in the previous step, you might think, well, I'll be very happy with that one and that one, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine at this stage. Okay, one of them probably, unless you can combine them in some way in the future, but one of them is going to be that warm, fuzzy feeling. And okay, so now you write down these broad categories with step 3, the broad whats as well. And remember to keep a notebook with you all the time, right? Because you're actually endeavoring to communicate with your subconscious that is all knowledge, all knowing, and knows what it wants you to do in the future. Just got to get you to recognize it. And so it'll come up as aha moments unexpectedly if you are going through the process, if you're asking the questions. You see, if you're asking the questions that you've created for yourself, then it's allowing the subconscious now to actually answer something specific. Okay, and it also keeps your conscious mind out of the way by creating the questions. And so that you might wake up in the middle of the night and suddenly the subconscious comes through, or first thing in the morning, or you might be at the supermarket, paying the cashier, and suddenly this, from nowhere, this idea comes. You need to take your notebook and just write it down. Don't wait until you leave the shop, because then it's going to be too late. So keep that notebook handy all the time, and keep writing in it. Keep writing in it. All right. So now I want you to take a few days to think about why you want to do what you want to do in the previous step. Why is essential to this idea and process. Okay, the why. And the why must never have anything to do with money. Nothing. Okay, not at this stage. Money comes into it if necessary down the line later this week in classes that we're doing. But now it's not. Okay, this first class, because you want a purpose. It's a heartfelt purpose with a heartfelt reason for that purpose. Okay, and so why is essential to your idea and purpose. Let me just say it again: why you want to do what you want to do. Okay, all right. So I just want to explain the why with an example that's on the screen now. 2 people intend to donate money to charity. Okay, that's what they want to do. Okay, the first one's reason is to get a tax deduction, and the second person wants to assist abandoned children. The what was the same, but the why was not. So you see, it is terribly important from this example that you have the why. Okay, I can't stress it strongly enough. You really need to take time about the why. Okay, so why is absolutely essential to ask yourself, because if you have an authentic, motivating why to live for, you will discover many ways to do it. Okay, and we'll do those in classes that are coming now after this one as we go through the week. But this one, it's the why. As you can see from that example you used, your why has got to be authentic. It's got to be a heartfelt why, not a logical why. Okay, not necessarily logical. It might turn out to be logical, but we're dealing here with a feeling. So that's step 5. Now I'm going to give you some other examples, and unashamedly, I'm going to use myself. It's just so much easier because I've experienced it. I've gone through this. I've developed this process myself. Okay, I'm not copying somebody else's process. I've got lots of hints and ideas from many books that I've read over the last 20 or 30 years. But what I've put together here now is basically based on what I've done for myself. So let's have a look at my broad purpose. Remember, we start with a very big and a why. So my broad purpose that I eventually came down on was to research, write, and share the information that will benefit individuals. Okay? That's my broad category. Okay, why? Because I love researching. I mean, in the old days, you used to find me in the libraries and things like that. And yeah, but now, of course, we've got Mr. Google. Love researching and discovering new information and writing. That's another reason why I like these classes, because I research the other classes that I do. I do one like Mysteries Under the Sea. It's lovely to research that. Okay, how to use Google Earth to go on a holiday, a virtual holiday, those sort of things. So I still using my research, and I write it down, and I create PowerPoint slides and so on. And now the seniors that are taking classes are benefiting. So you see my broad purpose there. This goes back a few years. And then the reason why. That's what I want you to do now in step 5. Because you're now clear about the reason for wanting to work, the type of work, and the reasons for that type of work. Boy, this is putting it all together in a way that if you do it authentically and with sincerity, you're going to come up with the purpose of your life that's going to keep you happy and fulfilled for the rest of your life. So now take it and put it all together in one paragraph. And take your time, all right? This is not a classroom exercise at university or somewhere where you've got to go and do it and come back. This is, take as long as you like, okay? Keep the steps going. Get those things that I've mentioned in the previous slide together, okay? Because that why is so important. The what is also important, but the why, brings it down to a much more specific what, okay? So at this point, when you've got to this point and you're now writing it down, let's say in your best home language that you can, you should be feeling warmth. You should be feeling excited now, because you've now brought it down to this point. If there's any doubt or there isn't the one, just go back a step or two and come forward and reassure yourself that you've made the right things, or you've written down the correct things. Okay. All right, let's stop there. Any questions that anybody might have?
I don't.
Yes.
I said I don't.
Sorry. I guess I'm hard of hearing. Sorry, Michael. That's fine. All right, so now step 6. Now comes a little bit more detail in the whole process. We haven't been dealing with detail, And so now we start looking at a little bit more detail. So now you take the what, the broad category, start thinking and researching to bring it down to a more specific category. Okay, now you can, ask Mr. Google and see what he says and they come up with ideas. Because it's now, you've now got the basis. The basis of how to move forward, your purpose you've got in place. You want to just now get some more detail. So you now want to become more knowledgeable about specific category that you're thinking about. You might have a couple of categories, remember I said, so you might have a couple of categories and bring it down. And so I want you to just think, let's say you've got 3 categories, okay? Do it with all 3 categories. Do this, take those broad categories and do some researching under what falls underneath that category that now means something to you, and something that you could become more knowledgeable about as you move forward. Let's just look at that example again, okay? So we are down to the detail of the what now, the specific product. We're now getting into the detail, remember that. So let's go back to that example that I showed you about researching and writing, okay? And the broad category was to research, write, and share. Then now we need to bring it down through our own researching. We're looking for a little bit more detail now from that broad category. You now come down to a smaller category. And in this case, I decided on alternative health treatments that I was going to research, write, and share. Okay, and there was a motive behind that. I was not well, and I had difficulty in walking, and often in a wheelchair. And so I wanted to find an alternative way because other ways weren't working for me. And so I wanted to look at. So then I said, right, okay, alternative health is what I'm going to research and write about. And then I looked at that category, alternative health. Now, that's an enormous category in itself, yes. So I now brought that down to fit with me and my needs, okay? And I decided a smaller category would be for I would research and write about the nervous system diseases. Okay. So you see, it's coming down now, and there's a logic to it now. There's not necessarily a feeling. Okay, there would probably be a feeling as well, but it's also a logical process now. And then, having decided on the nervous system diseases, and there are a lot of nervous system diseases, okay, but I lined them up, and I thought, well, fine, I'll just start and move forward with this. And so I decided on multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, and peripheral neuropathies. And to this day, as I researched and wrote, I kept a record. I wrote blogs. I put them on my website. They're still there today. Did videos about things that would just worry me. I would just sit in the garden and do a video about that aspect, and that's still on my YouTube, but that's irrelevant. I don't want you to go there. It's about the process. It's about the process that you're dealing with it. You're dealing with your movement, and in hindsight, I wouldn't have done it any other way, because I really feel healthy, and yeah. So that's bringing it to the 6 steps, particularly in this class, that I want you to look through and work with, and don't rush it. Please don't rush it. Just do it, and maybe it all comes together, all in one day. And that would be really fortunate. That would be great. But be prepared to allow the time, and don't rush forward just because you think, well, maybe that's a good idea. Okay, it's not a thinking good idea process. It's a heart feeling good idea process. Okay, so what we're going to move forward with in future days and so on, and we're going to now think. I told you we'd get to the point of thinking and researching, because now we've got what we want from our subconscious, or maybe soul linked. So now you start thinking about how you're going to deliver this. Now I'm going to be whatever it is, okay, a researcher and a writer, and I'm going to communicate it. Now you can start thinking, how am I going to communicate it? There are so many ways to communicate. So you could do it as a trainer, okay. You could do it as a consultant. You could do it as a blog writer, and so there are lots of ways of doing it. If you're making something with your hands, there are lots of ways of moving forward with what you're going to make with your hands, and you could be training other people to do the crafts, for example, or you could be making crafts and moving on with selling them, or selling them through a wholesale, or selling them direct. And we cover all these in future, but it's worthwhile thinking about it now. And then as part of this process, before you move forward with taking a tiny step with your purpose now, is, whatever you're going to do, create a sample of it. If you're going to be, training somebody, create a lesson, okay? And then, go onto a platform that, allows you to go and do training. Or if you want to be a blog writer, write a blog, get people's feedback at this stage. Give it away all for free. Whatever you're doing at this stage, you do it, give it away for free, or perhaps you're never going to charge for it. That's fine too. That's just part of your process as we move forward. You certainly, it doesn't have to be a business, okay? It could just be a purpose, and maybe that purpose is just going to look after abandoned animals, okay? That's fine, okay? But it's something that is heartfelt, that you want to do, that's going to make you very happy. So definitely create a sample and think about it. And then, in following days, we're going to be dealing with the actual launch, that little step forward, how to communicate it in this new world that we're now moving into, and how we're finding people that we would help benefit, or perhaps even buy what we're selling, and how to grow the whole process. So we've got tomorrow is class 2, and so to end this class, and I'll take any questions that you might have. I love this phrase that's on the screen now. The purpose of life is a life with purpose. Okay, so I just feel, and I encourage everybody to just work with finding that purpose with your subconscious mind, and we can move forward. All right. So, are there any questions or any comments before we close off?
Doesn't this all depend on what stage you are in your life cycle?
No, I think one can do it at, I've certainly done it at different stages of my life. I did it in slightly different ways because I was still learning. When I was in sort of, say the midlife crisis, the 40-year-old crisis. So no, you can do it wherever. Okay, I've just adapted it now to for seniors, people who are in retirement, and
yeah, but there's seniors that are, and I don't like the word seniors, and the number of the classes that I've been at on another channel or another platform are talking about getting away from the usage of the word seniors to older adults rather than seniors, because seniors itself connotes ageism, and there's a bias. There's almost a bias, not whether that exists in Australia or not. it's certainly a valid bias in the United States. But there are seniors, getting to the point, there are seniors that, because of health, I don't know whether can focus on this, because if they're in a stage where they're, for instance, battling cancer, can they really be focused on their purpose? Or if they're homeless, or if they have to work because of economics, do you think that this is centered towards people who are in retirement and or in a later stage of life, that are struggling with this, but are have you studied Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yes.
Okay. Don't you have to be at a higher level on that hierarchy of needs to be focused on this?
No, I think somewhere I've misrepresented now in the last hour, because this has got nothing to do with anything else other than yourself, your subconscious. Okay, there's using words are logical things like what that word means and so forth, but the bottom line is that this is like a private thing. If you use the word senior or don't use the word senior, that has an importance to you, okay? And I love the word senior because I see as the seniors of society. We are the ones with wisdom. We are the ones that are going to take forward new ideas in order to introduce a new world once all this resetting has taken place. The world is going to rely on us, and we're going to have a more important status and position. And so it's really important to see people who are my age as living for another 30 years with a really heartfelt purpose. And I urge you to go through, forget about the other things. I mean, each one has its place. Each one is valuable. The hierarchy of needs, there's, okay, but this doesn't take into account that. Okay, this takes into account that you're an individual, you have a soul, you have a purpose, and you have reached a stage in your life, whatever it happens to be, and you want to find now a new purpose. You want to reinvent yourself and produce a new purpose because you've had in the past, and then action that particular purpose, almost regardless of what the rest of the world says and thinks. Does that make sense?
You're saying you have to recognize the need, that you have to be at a stage of your life when you're recognizing the need to find a purpose or to repurpose yourself, in other words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then are you saying that the subconscious is the key to this, just like with goal setting, that if you think about the goal that you're going after, and like Maxwell Maltz or all of the other motivators out there have said, if you think about your goal, you're going to be getting there in your subconscious. Are you saying that the question is the catalyst to move your subconscious to direct you in this path?
Yes. Yes, Michael. What I'm saying is that there comes a time in the process where you can set a goal, okay, and so be it. But the before all that happens, there has to be this feeling of a purpose, okay, a what. And you see, probably most of us, having gone through careers, we've taught salesmen, and we've set goals, and we've set goals for ourselves, and we've that comes and that has its place, okay, although it doesn't anymore with me. I use a different approach to goals that we grew up with, But be that as it may, everybody's got their opinion. There are very famous people out there that are helping lots and lots of people. And if people get benefit, that is great. Okay. I'm just moving to a very simple approach, okay, an approach that doesn't require sort of goal setting, if you like, okay, because it's not about goal setting. It's about the purpose and the overall purpose that you want to move forward with, let's say, to help humanity in this particular category. That's where we're going to get fulfillment. We're not going to get fulfillment from achieving our goals, okay. Having said that, of course, we would, but we don't go out setting our goals in order to get fulfillment. So what we are doing is we're finding a way that we wake up in the morning knowing that we're going to help another sector of society with whatever we've decided to do, because we've done the old one, we've been there, we've brought up our children, now we're moving forward as wise people with experience to find that niche where we can benefit other people other than ourselves only. That makes sense?
Yeah, and that, don't get me wrong. I wasn't moving against this. What I was trying to find was a similarity here, because goal setting, and I used to teach classes in goal setting 30, 40 years ago, was the importance of putting it into your subconscious, you know, whether it was constantly restating your goals or giving yourself affirmations, et cetera, et cetera. And I understand and I know how that works. And I was trying to draw a simile that you're using that same pathway through the subconscious to get to the reasons, the why, you know, to the why. The end result is, of course, whatever you want to do in pursuing on that goal. But the question, and the reason I was building that, is, are you saying, and you know, it's interesting, and I can understand it. Whether it works for me or not, I don't know. But are you saying that it's asking yourself these questions that sparks the subconscious to, you know, to be able to give yourself the answers? That's the real, that's the question that I have.
Yeah, it is. You see, and I understand about you teaching goals 40 years ago, because I used to too. So I understand where you're coming from. But usually one set the goals logically and on paper, and often it had to do with money or the number of whatever you were going to do. And so it started with a logical research, and then making the goals, and then putting it into your subconscious to attract certain things. I'm saying the other way around. Okay, I'm saying let's find what the subconscious wants us to attract. Okay, before we logically apply those systems. Make sense?
Oh, I understand that, but so you're saying, but let me restate my question. You're saying that asking your subconscious the queries is the way to initiate that process.
That purpose, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to get the understanding here.
Okay. No, great. You asked the question. Thank you very much. Okay. Anything else?
No, I think it'll be interesting having these discussions with you, but I hope we have more than one person on this. You know, I hope we did not scare that other person away by starting on this.
I think they've moved on to another class, because we've overstepped the time for if they were going to start another class. So, yeah, I would be very happy to chat some more. But as I say, there's another lesson the same time tomorrow, just moving forward with ideas and so on. So please join there, or you know, if you want to interact in any other way, just help at getsetup.io, and just they will forward anything you write to me.
I know
so-
I've gone through the process. I am a Get Set Up ambassador, and have thought about becoming a guide. In fact, I interviewed when they were doing master class last almost a year ago on this, and that actually did a demo master class before they got rid. I don't know whether you were with Get Set Up when they were doing master classes, and was approached to become a guide, but I turned them down because I didn't, for various reasons. But your stance is interesting. Interesting. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. And let me know if you change your mind and become a guide. That would be great.
Well, the question is going to be, what's the purpose? You know, Franklin sitting up there has got a guide. There were two reasons why I didn't get a guide. I didn't become a guide. Number one, they wouldn't let me sign as a corporation.
Okay.
And I didn't want a W-2 in the United States with taxes. I wanted to throw through the corporation, and they had no way to do that. So that was the first step. And the second was I didn't want to give them 20 hours a week to tell you the Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
You know, so I may still, I'm working with one of the guides in his programs as an aide to him, and we're trying to develop some other programs. And I'm thinking about doing some special interest groups, but I'm really not interested in working 20 hours a week, to tell you the
Yeah. What you should consider, Michael, is they also have a program called the Ambassadors Program.
Oh, I am an ambassador.
Are you?
I am an
Okay.
ambassador. Yes, I am.
Okay.
So,
I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I don't want to tie you up any longer. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You too.
I actually know where Perth is at, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Where Perth, Australia is at. Maybe if we have some time in another discussion, we'll get to talk. I'll let you know why I do.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. Now that you're an ambassador, we're going to, that would be great. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye.